After enduring a drought of more than 1,000 days without a victory in MotoGP, Marc Marquez, now racing for Gresini Racing, has taken a more relaxed approach as he enters the 2024 season. After a difficult period with Honda that spanned 4 years, Marquez no longer views this season as one where he needs to chase wins or titles. Instead, his primary focus is on personal recovery and rebuilding himself both mentally and physically. With Ducati now firmly established as the dominant force in MotoGP, Marquez isn't allowing the competition to add pressure to his comeback. He's realistic about where he stands after such a challenging stint with his previous team. While the competitive edge is still there, the 8-time world champion is using this season to recover and regain his strength for future campaigns. Despite the challenges, Marquez remains optimistic and patient. With 9 races remaining in the season, he's targeting incremental progress rather than expecting immediate results. His goal is to build momentum and continue to add podium finishes to his resume with Gresini Racing. While a victory might be elusive this season, Marquez is content to wait, knowing that his chances of returning to the top step of the podium will increase once he transitions to the Ducati Lenovo team next year. This measured approach speaks to Marquez's maturity and experience. After years of dominance, the Spaniard knows that success isn't always immediate. As the season progresses, he'll continue to fine-tune his form and look to put himself in the best position for future success. While the ultimate goal is to return to winning ways, Marquez is willing to be patient and trust the process, understanding that his full comeback may not fully materialize until next season. Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi recently came to the defense of Marc Marquez, who has yet to secure a victory in the 2024 MotoGP season. Despite the lack of wins so far, Tardozzi emphasized that Marquez remains an outstanding rider with immense potential to deliver success. Tardozzi expressed confidence that Marquez will bring home a victory for Ducati soon, perhaps even before the current season concludes. If that doesn't happen, Tardozzi believes there's no doubt that Marquez, affectionately known as the baby alien, will be a strong contender for the championship next season. Tardozzi shared these sentiments following the conclusion of the 2024 Austrian MotoGP, a race where Marquez finished in 4th place. Though missing the podium, Marquez's performance still turned heads, particularly in the second half of the race where he showed exceptional speed. The podium at the Austrian GP was dominated by Ducati riders. Francesco Bagnaia from the factory Ducati team took the top spot, followed by Pramac Ducati's Jorge Martin in 2nd place, and Enea Bastianini rounding out the podium in 3rd. He also took a moment to reflect on Marquez's potential, saying, "I predicted that Marquez would be a threat on Sunday, and if you look at the second half of the race, he was indeed the fastest on the track. Had he gotten a better start, a podium or even a victory might have been within reach." As Ducati continues to focus on the 2024 championship, Tardozzi made it clear that while Marquez's presence is eagerly awaited for next year, their current priority lies with their official riders, Bagnaia and Bastianini. "Our main focus is on Pecco and Enea, and we're hopeful they can keep delivering strong results for us," Tardozzi said. However, Tardozzi didn't shy away from acknowledging Marquez's incredible potential, adding, "We're not overlooking Marc's talent. He's a rider with incredible skill, and while we're excited to have him with us next year, I believe we'll see him standing on the top step of the podium before the season ends." With Ducati's strong rider lineup and the added potential of Marquez, there's no doubt that the team is in a prime position to dominate the MotoGP circuit, both now and in the future. Marc Marquez encountered a challenge with the front ride height device, also known as the holeshot device, on his Desmosedici motorbike ahead of the Austrian MotoGP at the Red Bull Ring circuit in Spielberg. Fortunately, reigning world champion Pecco Bagnaia stepped in to offer some helpful advice on how to prevent the issue from happening again. The Austrian MotoGP may not have gone exactly to plan for Marc Marquez, but the 8-time world champion took a significant step forward, bringing himself closer to top contenders like Francesco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin, something that had been slipping out of reach in recent races. Marquez demonstrated a resurgence in competitiveness during last weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. For a rider who has been grappling with setbacks and finding himself further behind championship leader Pecco Bagnaia and rising star Jorge Martin, the race at the Red Bull Ring brought some much-needed momentum. While the results didn't end in a podium finish, Marquez's performance suggested he's beginning to close the gap with the front runners. Given the right circumstances, he may have even been in contention for a top 3 finish. Unfortunately, the weekend was marred by a series of unfortunate incidents that dashed his hopes. A crash during the sprint race, a collision with Franco Morbidelli, and a mechanical issue involving a valve just 30 minutes after the green light all conspired against him. To make matters worse, a failure with the bike's height control system sent his garage into a state of disarray. While his points tally from Spielberg doesn't quite reflect the potential many saw in his performance after a promising Friday, there was undeniable progress. His lap times and overall pace were a noticeable improvement from previous rounds. Despite the setbacks, Marquez remained optimistic about the direction his team is heading. He walked away from the Central European circuit with his head held high, knowing that they're beginning to solve issues more quickly and effectively. Although the results on paper may not have shown it, Marquez feels they are inching closer to unlocking the full potential of his Ducati. That's a significant victory in itself, as he continues to build confidence in the bike and himself moving forward. Bagnaia explained that the problem was related to the stiffer front suspension and that the key to properly engaging the holeshot device lay in a precise combination of braking techniques. You need to be aggressive on the brakes to engage it, but then very smooth when you release the lever, Bagnaia noted during a press conference. That balance makes it easier to activate the device while letting off the brake simultaneously. Bagnaia confessed that he, too, had struggled with the holeshot device before the start of both the sprint race and Sunday's Grand Prix. He pointed out that the system can be tricky to manage, especially under the time constraints leading up to the race. I had to repeat the maneuver 3 times before the sprint just to lock it in place, and twice before the main race on Sunday. It's nerve-wracking when you're racing against the clock to get everything set before the lights go out, he said. Jokingly, Bagnaia acknowledged that only Jorge Martin seems to have mastered the tricky device, saying with a laugh, "The only rider who nails it on the first try every single time is Jorge Martin. Honestly, I am starting to worry about how good he is at it." He then humorously pointed to Martin, who was sitting next to him during the press conference. Martin, sharing in the laughter, responded confidently, "It's been working perfectly for me for the last 3 years." The exchange added a bit of light-heartedness to an otherwise tense situation as the riders prepared for the challenging race ahead. Despite the holeshot device causing stress for some, it's clear that these top riders continue to adapt, learn and share tips in their ongoing battle for dominance on the track. Keep warming up your engines. See you at the next race.